Beautiful. Yeah, ignore the title of the talk on the front of your bulletins. I changed my mind after they were printed this week. I'm going to do I think it's actually a 5-week series on the prayer for protection, one line at a time. And I just this week I said, we need to know more about the basics, just to focus more on that. Although I did find this on Facebook this morning, probably a lot of you did too, about the neighborhood where a couple moves next door to this other couple, and the first morning the wife in the older house, she looks out the window and she's seeing the couple doing their laundry and hanging the wash, and she said, my goodness, her laundry isn't very clean. Maybe she needs different soap or something. And a few days goes by, and again, she and her husband are sitting at the kitchen table, and she's hanging laundry again. She said, geez, what is she doing with her laundry? It's filthy. What's going on over there? The husband just doesn't say anything, and a few days later, she sees and she says, oh, thank goodness, they finally got the right stuff. Look how sparkling white that laundry is. And the husband says, actually, honey, I washed the window this morning. The light of God surrounds us. The light of God. Yeah, well, I loved this prayer. It's in your. I gave you all a copy of it in your bulletin today, and it's got the short version. It's got the long version on the second page. We're not going to read through that this morning, but keep it and look at it. It's got an interview with James Dillett Freeman, who wrote the prayer for unity. James Dillett Freeman was the poet laureate of unity. When he was a kid, he was working for the Fillmores at the Tracy Street Church in Kansas City. Tracy Street Church is the very first unity building that they built as a church, and I've been there many times, and it's a lovely old place, and it's Charles Fillmore realized people wanted to have a traditional church, because Unity used to meet at 3 p.m. And the Unity said, go to your regular church and then come on over here and we'll help you understand it better with metaphysically. And then people finally said they wanted a church and they wanted their own building, and they didn't have the money to build a building. And it was May Rowland's father, and many of you do not know who May Rowland was. She later went on to be the head of Silent Unity for many years. But it was her father who mortgaged his property to build the first Unity Church there on Tracy Street in Kansas City. And they added on, and then they bought the space next door, and that became, actually the third floor of the church was the original Silent Unity, where Myrtle Fillmore had her office, and then she had prayer rooms up there where she really trained her prayer workers. You could not get away with anything as a prayer worker for Myrtle Fillmore. You could not get away with pretending at home that you're not connected and come to work and pretend you are. You went through a rigorous process, let's say, and I don't know what the process was, but I do know every time I go up on that third floor, I can feel an energy. I'm not one of those people that, I feel an energy. There was something different about that third floor up there. And then they bought the space next door, and that became all the printing and all the publishing company and everything. And Silent Unity actually moved over to there, except Myrtle. Myrtle, she liked her third floor office, and she'd walk down 3 flights, walk next door, and walk up 3 flights to get over to where the prayer workers were working. And if anybody doesn't know, Silent Unity is the oldest existing telephone prayer line in the world. And to this day, you can call Unity Village, and someone will answer the phone. This is Silent Unity. How may I pray with you? 24 hours a day. They will not counsel you. They will pray with you. And so the Society of Silent Unity began up there. So, they built the church, and why did I get on to the light of God surrounds us. James Dillett Freeman. So James Dillett Freeman lived in basically across the street. It's not a lovely neighborhood there, Tracy Street. I'm told it wasn't a lovely neighborhood then, and it really isn't now. And he as a teenager, he came over to work for the Fillmores, and he stayed. And he became the poet of Unity. And he went on to run Silent Unity for several years as well, and I believe after May Rowland. And so this connection with this prayer. And if you read the history of the prayer there, you'll see it was taken to the moon. It was so there was something about it. He originally wrote it, I think, for a memorial service. And he originally, what the heck was it? But it originally started with the Christ of God, and he changed it because he knew light and love would be more accessible. I think it was the light of Christ surrounds us, and the light of Christ, and he changed it later on to when it became published. And so we look at the light of God surrounds us. And by the time I had heard this, God was no longer a man to me. God was no longer a human being. God was no longer a person with a personality. To me, God was good, orderly direction. God was the energy of love. God was spirit. God was principle. God was law. God was or is. And so I could imagine myself surrounded by this energy of love. I could imagine myself embraced by this principle of love, by the spirit of love. And so it was easy for me to visualize that the light of God surrounds me. So it had to be, then I had to get understanding on light. What does light mean? It can't just be something bright. And I realize if I am connected in this oneness of God, light, as I came to understand, was you turn on a light to see. That's the point. The seeing of God surrounds me. I am seen by this energy, but I also see with it. When I connect to it consciously, I begin to see as love sees. I begin to see as the Spirit sees, as this principle sees. I begin to see very differently than before, so that I can see. See? and so to see as God sees, well, God doesn't see the problems we see. God has no problems. Love has no issues. Light has no issues. Peace has no issues. Intelligence has no issues. Power, presence, is not trying to end a war, is not trying to lower the price of fuel, is not trying to end our issues, because it has no issues. And I have issues because I think I'm important. I think I am important enough to have issues. I think I'm special enough to have issues. I think in my confusion, in my insanity, which I offended someone in a class a couple of weeks ago in New York, when she said, we need to deal with the mental illness of the people, and I said, well, you have to start with your own. Are you saying I am mentally ill? She said, class, the whole rest of the class, and she came to me, I'm really upset. Well, you said I'm mentally ill. Do you think I would kill someone? I was like, what? I didn't say you would kill. I said, we're all mentally ill and we're doing this. And I said, let me ask you this. Do you get together with this person to character assassinate this one? Well, you mean gossip? She said, yeah. I said, criticize? Yeah. I said, that's insane. That is insane behavior, and we're all doing it. At some point, maybe some of you aren't, and good for you. Maybe you should be up here, but you'll have to fight me for this mic. It's insane thinking, and arrogance to think that I could convince what I call the spirit of love, the divine principle, that there is bad going on. And I don't know about you, I have been known to pray that please fix this bad thing, whatever this bad thing is. I don't use the word bad, but it's the equivalent problem. This that I don't like. And when I'm praying, I'm saying, oh God, please, end this war. Please end this suffering. Please end it. What I'm trying to do is convince God that there is suffering. I'm not asking myself to see it as God sees in those times. I'm asking God to see it as I see it. And if God could see it like I see it, then we'd really have a problem. And that's what we need to start understanding, at least I need to start understanding, and you're welcome to join me, to begin to see it in light. The light of God surrounds me. Here, let me read a couple of things to you. The Holy Spirit's interpretation of the New Testament, the book of Peter, First Peter, I believe it is, says, "What you see is what you see, because it is a reflection of what is in your mind." See, that's how I'm deciding what everything means, based on what's in my mind. And what's in my mind might not be true at the current moment. What you see is not fact, in that it cannot be changed or cannot be seen differently. What you see is only fact in that it is a fact, that it is a reflection of what is in your mind now. Accept this fact. Look at the reflection and see what you did not see before. All that you see is in your mind, and you are the power that can change it. Is what you see that which you know to be your truth? If it is not, it is misperception, and it will fade away through your willingness to release it to do so. And so to begin to look differently at things, it's like looking at a painting, a beautiful masterpiece, and you look at it for hours, and suddenly you see something else that you hadn't seen in it before. And if I look in this mirror, there's a whole lot going on here. And if I judge it all based on one limited thought, and then I try to convince you that there's something wrong in the mirror, and then I pray, "Oh God, fix this mirror. Please fix this mirror. There's something wrong with what's in this mirror. Please fix it." And then I'm saying, that's all I see, and I'm not looking deep enough to see the light, to see the love, to see beyond my past. Because that's what I'm using to inform me, a past thought. And that can't be accurate. But what if I use this mirror to see me? And it depends what mood I'm in to say, "Oh, well, she squinted her eyes a little bit. She must not like me. Oh, look, her eyes are wide open. She's smiling. She likes me. Oh, thank goodness." Either way is a misperception that I would use you to define me. Or worse, to define my good, and whether my good is present now, based on nothing you have done. Isn't that a hoot? I'll use you to misdefine me. Because, not mystify, but misdefine me, when all we could do is just love each other. I could just use you to say, "Oh, there's love there. Go ahead, show it to me, Jen. Show it to me." Okay, then I moved over to 1 Corinthians, chapter 12, verse 12. It starts with, "This is why I ask you to see the world as one song or a script. It is so you will not break it into parts to judge. One song is a whole, perfect at its finish. One script cannot be broken apart. When you look at your brothers and your sisters, you see separate parts. But this must mean that you are not looking with me," capital M, me, "for I do not see separate parts of one thing. When I look, I only see the whole. When you look with me, there is nothing to judge, for everything works for healing of one mind. There is no error, and there is no mistake. There isn't one single flaw. There is only a mind listening to itself and recognizing which self is true. It is an awakening, a growing recognition, and it is perfect in every way. When you look on the world and seem to see differences, remember you are not looking with me. Surrender your sight. Because you do not want it now. Do not judge what you see, or you accept it as real, and you hold on to the experience of illusion. You must release it by not judging it, through trusting it is not real. See only that it is not your desire. Let it pass upward, out of your shell, freeing your mind of its trick. Flee with me and know you are free. Flee with spirit. I think the easiest way to do this is find what part of spirit you believe is true. Find whatever part that you believe is true and start to latch on to that. And let it begin to guide your thoughts about everything. Let it begin to guide your thoughts about your body. Let it guide your thoughts about your past, of course. Let it guide your thoughts about every person you lay your eyes upon. Let this thought of something in truth that you trust begin to be the guiding part of your thoughts, so that everybody gets a clean slate. That's what it really comes down to. It's like, and I know how difficult that might be if everybody gets a clean slate today. But you see, if everybody gets a clean slate today, I'm not misinforming the cells of my body, the intelligence of my being, all the regenerated cells, any old misinformation. And so this is why New Thought's hard, because we're not asking you to believe in days of old as real as history. We're asking you to believe in today, right now. I'm asking myself to believe in today, right now, that this is the new day, this is the new time, and I am entitled to see. I'm entitled to see because I can. And I'm allowed to have fun today. I'm allowed to play today. I'm allowed to dress up today in anything I want to wear. I am allowed to laugh and to sing and to dance. I am allowed to have a wonderful time. And the only thing that would get in the way of all of that is my not seeing properly, is my not seeing with light. That is the only thing that would get in the way. If I see with a shadow, if I see with the past, which is my shadow, if I continue to see with that, then I say, I can't do this because someone doesn't approve. It doesn't matter the millions who do. I'll find the one who doesn't. And I'll use them to say, I'm not allowed to be glad today. However, how about if I use me to say, I'm allowed to be glad today? I so envy those people. I really do. I know we're not supposed to envy, but I really do envy the free ones who aren't worried about what I think. Oh, I envy those people who could not care less what I think. They're going to have the day they want to have, positive or negative, and they're not latching on to Shawn for approval or worse, disapproval. They're not latching on to me to define them. They're latching on to their God identity because the light of God surrounds them. And so, I ask all of you to celebrate today that the light of God surrounds me. Would you all say it with me? The light of God surrounds me. Let's say it again. The light of God surrounds me. And one more time. The light of God surrounds me. So it is. Amen.